So I never really deadlifted until more recently due to the fact that I always thought that it was going to be a movement that would be detrimental, that would, reduce my progress in general because of all the things I've seen about how deadlifting can be, bad for your back, or it's just more risk than reward, things like that. And I also never tried it because when I never tried deadlifts, but when I would go to my friend's community gym after school, I would walk over there, and then I was still a gym novice, so then I would just do random exercises. One of them was power cleans, and then I definitely didn't do them correctly. I don't remember exactly how I did them, but I would try them. And then there was this one old guy that told me, man, you gotta stop doing those, man. You're gonna hurt your back when you're older. So he was talking to me about some real shit. So I didn't really listen to him until I went to school one day. We had a gym class. I tried some power cleans and I dropped all the weight, embarrassed myself in front of the whole class. So then I was like, yep, I'm not doing any kind of movements that I don't know how to do. And one of them was deadlifts. But the reality of deadlifts is that it is a very risky exercise if you don't know how to do it. And most people do not know how to do the exercise. So today I want to give you 5 things that will help you perfect your deadlift. Number 1 is pull your lats back. Activate your lats, and that will help keeping that upper body stiffness. If you have the upper body stiffness, that's one of the keys to a good deadlift, because a deadlift is a leg movement. It is a posterior chain movement, the glutes, hamstrings, all of that on the backside. That is what that exercise is for. So pulling the lats is going to be one of the key things to keep your upper body stable. And the second thing you need to do is brace your core. That also goes with keeping your upper body stable, because that is one of the main keys to having a perfect deadlift, keeping your whole upper body stable. Because you'll notice when you have your entire upper body stable, and I mean stable, you have to be extremely stiff with your lats pulled back and braced core. You have to be very, very stiff with that. Very stiff, as stiff as you can be, because you'll also notice if you do that, the bar will lift up a little bit. It's called, I think it's called taking the slack out of the bar. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, taking the slack out of the bar. That's what happens when you have a very stiff upper body before you do the movement. And you'll notice when you do it, you'll feel your posterior chain, especially your glutes, a lot more when you do it with a very stiff upper body. So that's the 2 first things: pulling your lats back, activating your lats, and bracing your core. Those 2 things will make your upper body as stiff as possible and get you ready for your deadlift. And the third thing is to open your hips. So when you have that narrow stance in your deadlift and you're gripping the bar, trying to bend the bar, you also want to open your knees as much as possible. Open your hips, and you should feel your knees kind of pushing into your hands a little bit, because there's obviously not going to be much space for that. But the reason you want to do that is so that you can activate your hips, activate the glute medius. You should also have it in more of a position where you can actually feel your posterior chain. When you have a stiff upper back and a stiff core, you want to have it in a position where you can feel it at the start. Feel maybe a light stretch in your glutes or your hamstrings at the start before you even start the lift. And opening your hips will help activate the glutes, so then you can actually feel them and work them and really get an efficient deadlift with that movement. The 4th thing I want to talk about is drive your legs, push your legs away from the ground, literally as if you were doing a leg press. Do that while pulling the bar back. So a good cue for this is a half open. I could show you an analogy here. A good analogy for this is a half open book. So a half open book, you're going to be like that. You're going to be pulling the bar back. This is your upper body. You're going to be pulling it back while you're pushing down from your legs. So then once you do that, it's like you're opening a book all the way up, just like that. So I'm going to say this one more time. You are going to push down with your legs while pulling the bar back towards you at the same exact time. And again, with a stiff upper body, and while your hips are opened, you're really gonna feel your posterior chain working while you're doing this movement. And then the last thing that I want to talk about, the fifth thing I want to talk about, is do not go too heavy. Unless if you're some kind of strongman, power lifter, whatever, if that's your goal, sure, go ahead. But the point of the deadlift is if you do some kind of sport, you need to have perfect technique. So if you go too heavy, you're gonna have bad technique. I literally just did this. I went too heavy. I got a pretty good max, but I had a little bit of flexion, just a little bit of flexion in my back. And so doing that over and over again, good thing I don't do that often. But when you do that and you do it over and over again, over time, you will have problems with your back. So, because lifting that much weight while your spine is flexed like that, you have to practice using those lower weights with good techniques, so then you can have better technique when you use higher weights. When you progressively overload, you must progressively overload with perfect technique. And this goes with what I try to teach, what I'm trying to inform people about, is jumping higher. You need to have good technique for things if you want to have optimal growth, prevent less injury, and just have a better lift in general, get more out of the lift. So that is the fifth and final thing. Make sure you do not go too heavy, practice your technique, progressively overload, and with everything I just said, you will have a very good deadlift. Now, with all of that said, I really hope I helped you out today. If I did, please like and subscribe so I can keep pushing out more content like this. Thank you for watching. Peace out.